Okay, so Stephen, we're in the gate of Megiddo. In archaeological builds, you're going to see these lines like this, going up here, and this along here. That means when they dug down and discovered this, so this is all buried probably, when they discovered it, this was intact. They dug down, this wall was here. This wall was restored. So they found these stones tumbled down. They picked them up and put them there, but this was already here. This was already here. So as you can see, much of this gate was already here. And as we go through the gate, notice where that dark line is. That means that's where they actually added to it. This was already existing, and then they rebuilt the upper portions. That's the significance of the restoration line.
So how old would this be?
Well, the area that was from Solomon's time, them would be about almost 3,000 years old. I'm not sure. Probably his grandsons, maybe Ahab, rebuilt some after that. But Solomon's level would date from almost 3,000 years. And then, of course, under there was civilizations that were probably predated the Israelite era in this land. So this is a manger.
Wow, a lot different than you'd expect it
When
to
it
be.
says Jesus was born in a manger, they have them up here because they had horses. And this is what they would feed the horses in. They'd put their food in, maybe water, but that's a manger. Probably maybe more than 2,000 years old. And there are others up here as well. I think there's some in better shape than that, actually. Now we're walking in one of the stables, possibly where Solomon kept his horses.
Wow.
And horses would be here. There are other stables. There was a line of stables. Here are some remains of some more mangers. And of course they're found in this area because this is where they fed the animals. Here's one, here's one, here's one.
And these are all originals.
On this, yeah, they're originals. These are not reproductions. But here, right here, they put the feed for the animals in there. And they could keep animals on both sides and keep them ready for war. So this was probably one of Solomon's chariot cities, where he kept chariots and horses. So this was a public grain silo from the days probably of Jeroboam. There were two sets of stairs. One for people to take going down, one for people to take going up. I mean, you can see how narrow they are. So you can't cross anybody on that. Yeah. So in things like this, in very deep wells and storage silos like this, which were built down instead of up. Our silos are built up. Their silos were built down. In these very deep silos, you couldn't take a whole lot of room to build big stairways. Sure. And you couldn't pass anybody on a narrow stair. So they have two sets of stairs.
Would there be an intersection point where they could
So
switch stairways?
they meet at the bottom. No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
See there's no intersection. This starts here and goes down. That one starts there and goes down. So you would go down one and either unload or load, and then you would come up the other so that you wouldn't knock somebody else off the stair. That way they could keep a continuous stream of people going. Otherwise you'd have to wait and waste precious time. Wow. So when they designed these, two sets of stairs.
Kind of ingenious.
Yeah, it was very ingenious.
It is. So at one time this was probably full of wheat. When the Bible says corn, it doesn't mean corn like we think of corn. They didn't have corn here. They had wheat. So when Jesus said, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, he meant except a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die. Corn came from the New World.
Yep.
So these people really never heard of corn. The English and the King James Version use the word corn to describe a piece of grain, a corn of grain, or corn of wheat. So at one time this was probably full of wheat or barley. The wall of the city was just over here. On the other side of that was the water source for the city, outside the wall, which is not a good thing. So what they did was they dug down here, they dug this pit, dug a tunnel all the way to the water source, and then they walled up the water source and covered it with dirt and wanted vegetation to grow on it so that the enemy, if this city was ever attacked, would not notice that there was a well there. So that's what we're walking through right now. The hole that they dug and the tunnel that they dug all the way through to get to the water source. See the layers in the rock? Iron tools, picks. Mostly picks. If you look close, you could probably see some pick marks. Wow. See this?
Yeah. That's not very deep.
See that? Of course, they wouldn't have had a boardwalk.
No. Yeah.
So I don't know how smooth the path was. I don't know if it was rocks or if they put sand there.
So was this altered, or is this the original height of the cave?
That's the original.
This original
Yeah,
height.
the cave I don't believe was altered. This is the source of the water. So this is where they came. And up here is where they walled off the water source.
So is this like a fixed source? Is there a fixed amount of water, or does it flow in from somewhere?
I think, well, I'm not sure exactly. It's a spring. I'm not sure. I think sometimes during rain and flood, it might actually get taller. See the water line up higher? And it might actually even flood the tunnel a little bit. But apparently there's been water here for several thousand years.